Welcome back to Voice of the Valley. Today we have a good friend and special guest, Coach Mills. He is the head coach at Penn State Lehigh Valley. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm well, man. Thank you guys for having me. This is awesome space you guys have here. Just looking forward to how this is going to go. Appreciate you guys.
Great. I believe it. So how has the season been so far at Penn State Lehigh Valley?
It's been well. I'm in my second year. It's been a lot of fun coaching basketball, coaching the game we love, being able to come back, full circle for me, being a former Penn State basketball player at DuBois, and now I'm coaching at Penn State Lehigh Valley. It's just so much knowledge and experience that I have to give to my group, and I just make sure I stick to that every day. Every day we come in, it's a new day to just set a precedent, set a standard into what we're trying to do as a program. And I just love I have the guys on our team, the players that are buying in and trusting what Coach and I are saying, my assistant coach as well.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing because you were once an assistant coach. And, what has that process and journey been like to step by step move up the ladder to become a head coach? And now what has that experience look like?
That's a great question, man. Again, this is my third year overall, second year as head coach. So when I came in at Penn State Lehigh Valley, it was as an assistant. At that time, the head coach was Ray Edwards, and I joined the staff just asking him to help out. I didn't really expect anything come from it, but I just believe that's how God works. I really just talk to him, and I have a relationship with him coaching AAU basketball, and I just asked to be a part of the staff, big player development guy. I like to get in the gym and work with players, so that's how I kind of got on board. Ultimately, I got the head coaching job in my second year. That transition helped me big time because I got to see what an assistant coach is like. I got to do that in high school too, but college is a little bit different. Now that I got the head coaching job, my assistant, it was a way for me to be able to give him roles and responsibilities that I also knew he was ready for that would help us in the big term, but I don't think I would have got that same experience and knowledge if I wasn't an assistant coach at that level myself.
Now, what does it look like being a coach in college? Like, what does that look like? Let's say just go through a week of coaching.
Yeah, a week of coaching, man. It's crazy. It's crazy hectic, but it's fun. As coaches, anything in life is your profession. It's what you sign up for. You know what I mean? That's the funness in coaching basketball. It's what we love to do. Funness of it for me too, as well, is just managing the personalities. I have 18 to 20 players on my team, on top of my assistant coach. Just managing those personalities. What does that look like on a day-to-day basis? Every day is different. You come into practice with a plan. You come into practice with an idea. But depending on how your point guard's feeling, how your shooting guard's feeling, how your big man's feeling that day, if they could go, injuries, all those things could change on how things look on a day-to-day. But to answer the question, on a day-to-day, man, we come in there with a plan. And our job is to execute, right? Is to execute and make sure that everything on the practice plan gets done in a timely manner, right? Most importantly, also just making sure my players leave every day learning something new, right? Just being able to leave all the effort and energy on the court at every practice, and hopefully it translates to games.
And the most controversial part of it, I coach myself high school AAU, is, the playing time that you give to your players. That's the hardest thing as a coach.
Absolutely.
What do you do to balance it out, and how do you choose which players play?
Yeah. Well, right now, you just led me easily to transition to shout out my assistant coach, right? Because as a head coach, we give those roles and responsibilities off, and that's what I allow my assistant coach to do. He's with me every day. His role and responsibility on a game day is to get those, is to do the subs. To your point, man, high school, I think it's a little bit more difficult. But at the same time, as a coach, as your head coach, there should always be a standard, right? Your players should almost know who is expected to play, who's going to play that game based on your depth chart, right? And based on what is being done on the practice, right? Execution, what's being done off the practice court, academics, right? Are we showing up places on time? Are we doing what we got to do? So those hard decisions, they don't really become hard as you're a head coach because your players show you who should be on the court. Right? There's really no surprises, whether it's an experience thing, whether it's who's getting the job done, who's getting the execution done on a day-to-day basis. So then when we're in the game and those decisions become a little tough, yeah, your players should make that tough, right? I should not really know who I'm going to put in depending on the situations. But most guys, that job is done in practice, right? You beat each other out for those spots. You earn it. You earn those minutes. You earn that execution, and you earn that trust from your coach based on the work that you put in.
That's amazing because, I know players get discouraged from not playing, and that falls into the mental health category. And what's most important and interesting is you came to the American Christian League and you gave a nice testimonial and speech. The biggest thing you talked about was mental health. How does mental health tie into athletics at a high level?
Wow, it's everything. I don't think we could put our best foot forward physically if we are not right mentally. right? So with me personally, like I have a lot of education in this, thankfully, right? I'm a Penn State graduate from Penn State DuBois, and I went to school for human development, right? So mental health, I'm not going to say it comes easy to me, but it's something that I prioritize way bigger than basketball. So coming and talking to the American Christian League, like that was a great moment for me to kind of give back, which is what I love doing anyway. But if my mental's not right, if my mental's not right, my players' mental's not right, we're not gonna be able to get the job done. You know, anxiety, depression, those things are normal. Those things are real, right? I think everyone has a side, has, you know, an amount of it and levels of it, and how we control it, how we deal with it is everything, you know? And what I try to just teach my players and anyone, honestly, students, adults, right, is just to how we work with our mental health, the importance of it, taking away the stigma from it. Like it's a bad thing that you don't feel like doing anything today. It's not a bad thing. It's normal, right? We wake up some days and we don't want to do what we have to do and get the job done, you know? But we got to push through, right? We got to persevere. We got to show up and take care of the people, take care of the grades, take care of the classroom, take care when it relates back to basketball, taking care of your responsibility, taking care of your teammates, right? To go to class and do the things that you got to do. But mental health is everything. It ties into everything about that. So I just think my education, you know, from college, lets me prioritize that, and I'm able to pour into my players, and I make it a big priority for our group.
Touching more on that, you know, in the zone, we actually have brought in a mental health specialist for sports.
Awesome.
And I didn't realize how big that problem was until I actually had to sit down with one of my childhood friends that went Division I. He played Division I, and he explained to me how hard it is and how your identity is literally built around sports. Like your whole identity becomes built around sports, and how he struggled with anxiety, depression. And I was thinking, but you're on top of the world. How could you be struggling? And you want to give more of an answer? How it's so weird how these top athletes are dealing with this.
And I think it's so fair. And I think as your friend being a Division I athlete, I think when you are respectfully at that higher level, it could weigh on you even more, right? Because to get to that higher level, how much did you have to work and sacrifice to get there? Right? How many nights did you have to maybe not spend with your friends to go get in the gym, to go get on the field, to go work out, to go things that you may not have wanted to do, but your coach, your parent, maybe you yourself set a standard for yourself to go do that, which is just pressure, right? Which is now pressure to have to show up, which is maybe sounds like what your friend may have been experiencing. Like you may think, hey, I'm on the top of the world. I just scored 15 points. I just scored 2 touchdowns, right? But that's what my identity is now. So now next game, when I got to go and I don't score 2 touchdowns, or, you know, I just have a bad game, which is, we all have bad days, right? Now, how does your friend deal with that? How does my player deal with that? You know, having a bad game and not being able to connect that to my identity, right? Like I could have a bad game, but I'm still a great basketball player. I'm still a great player. I'm still a great person, right? I just didn't show up in the moment. I didn't make the big shot. Doesn't mean I didn't work hard to not make the big shot, right? It just didn't go down when that time came. And just relating it back to life, man. How many times do we prepare for things and we want them to go a certain way, right? And they just don't. Do you connect your whole identity to that? And that's what I just try to teach my players. Like we were kind of just talking about this before the cameras turned on, right? Like that ball's gonna stop bouncing eventually, right? So don't put your all into that ball. You shouldn't, right? Like, and at the level that I'm at, being able to coach college basketball players, it's like, it's so great that we're here for academics first, because that ball stops bouncing and we come into practice sometime and don't talk about the ball. It's about, how did your day go? Did you get to meet with your professors? Did you get to give that paper that I asked you to your professors, right? We talk about those things because those things matter. If you didn't do that, you're not going to be able to catch the bus to get to that game, right? So we got to prioritize, did you handle your classwork? Did you handle your academics? Mentally, are you okay, right? Are you having a bad day today? Or did you show up? Did you wake up on the right side of the bed? Did you, get your responsibilities done? So to have a clean practice today, right? To execute this hour and a half, 2 hours that coach is asking us to do. And my job and what I love to do is build that rapport with my players so that they could come to me and just say, Coach, I'm not feeling it today.
That's incredible.
Right.
Because I've never heard of any coach say that. In fact, it's more like, hey, if you don't show up, you're not going to play and you're going to have consequences, right? But you're one of the first people I've actually heard say that, hey, I'll talk to my players, that if my players aren't feeling good that day, I'll say take the day off. Like I think there has to be a balance, but I think that is where we're going, especially with our generation. We're becoming softer, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, and I think software is a good word for it, for lack of better terms, you know. But I think my players, what the feedback I get from them is like just being a player's coach, right? And I don't do that intentionally. I literally have been in their shoes, right? So it's easy for me to just be like, yeah, I know that math test was hard, right? I know you're not going to be able to show up for practice today, or you're not going to be as on point as because you were just so thought about that, which you should have been, right? But now we got practice. So how easy it's gonna be? So my job is on certain days, the more I know and I could connect with you, the more you communicate to me, the more I can help you out. So back to your point about I give my guys, I prioritize it as before you even make the team, right? As a college basketball player, as I'm recruiting you, I let you know, man, you get your mental health days, right? And I talked to you guys about that at the Christian League when I came and talked to you guys. Like every player on my roster, every guy in my locker room, they know, I try to give them every 30 days that you get to, reach out to me and just say, hey, coach, I'm not feeling myself today. Can I just take a day off? And I don't relate it to basketball. Your mental health day is on you. What you decide to do, go for a walk in the park, go hang out with your girlfriend, get your schoolwork done. I don't really need to know, but you're granted that. And, you're able to come back and join the team the very next day, and unfortunately, as a coach, I ran into situations where some of those mental health days lead into multiple days, consecutive days. I've had players that had families that, members that passed away. They had to go away and go see them. And man, everything comes before basketball in my role.
Wow.
As a basketball coach, man, I know that sounds so crazy, but I just connect with my players, especially, right? I try to connect with everyone, but I connect with my players, and it's just like, this is what you're going through right now is way bigger than basketball, man. Like, put this aside. As your coach, I'm telling you this, and I hope it makes it easier for you to make this decision to go be with your family.
Do you have any of the players reach out to you for advice on nutrition or diet?
That's a great question. Yes and no. I would say I have a mixture. It meant diet and nutrition. I would lean more on our staff. We do have Lehigh Valley trainer works with us. Her name is Elaine. Shout out to Elaine. She gets all our players right. And I will lean to her for suggestions like that. But I don't like, if I see something, I talk about it. For example, you're not going to walk into our practice, or not even practice, during the season. If I see one of my players drinking soda, I'm going to talk to you about that. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be on a game, away game. It could be like if we go out on a team bonding, like no one's drinking Sprite. We're not getting milkshakes after, we'll go get Chick-fil-A, but no one's drinking milkshakes. We're going to stick to lemonades and teas, and we're going to put the best things in our bodies, But that's a great question about nutrition and things like that. I think that's important.
So what core values define your basketball program?
It's an amazing question, man. Core values of just being selfless, right? Putting we over me is another common term you hear a lot of basketball coaches and teams using. All of that tying into the man that I am. I believe that your teams reflect the coach, right? And I'm a very personable person. And I like that my players, as I'm still new to this, but my players are clearly becoming more personable. And it just helps. It helps with communication. It helps with connectedness, right? And it just helps with trust, right? So if I come through on my word and I say something and my players could trust me, right? And it keeps us connected because my head coach said something and he came through on that, whether it's giving us pizza after the game, whatever it is, whatever things we talk about, getting a certain amount of charges in the game, we come through on those things that builds the trust and camaraderie, right? That stays connected with us on and off the court. But it's back to our values and principles.
Yeah,
things that we talk about.
I believe communication is one of the biggest key things to success, whether it's on the court or off the court. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, so you said eventually that ball is going to stop bouncing. And I can promise you at least half your players are not thinking that.
No,
I know that for a fact, bro. We as young individuals have dreams of going pro, of playing, even if it's just semi-pro and making money being a trainer or something like that. But, when it gets to academics, how do you motivate your players to, do well in school, but not with like an iron fist saying, hey, if you don't do good, you're not going to play. Like, how do you motivate them to realize this is for your future?
Yeah. Kia, shout out to you, man, because you just let me transition to this. I want to shout out my team right now because we made history. Like, this is the first time I had all 18 of my players pass all of their classes and will be coming back to play in January.
Oh, wow.
And that's the first time that we've heard of that happening at Penn State Lehigh Valley specifically. But answers your question, how do I prioritize that without being a dictator with an iron fist, right? And it's communication, man, is what we talk about. Why would you sign up to play basketball, which is a big part of your life, if you know in order to play basketball, I got to take care of my grades, right? I tell recruits, don't come to play basketball here if you're not going to be a good student, right? And it ties into what I'm going to look for when I'm going to these recruits. I'm not going to go watch a kid in high school that has a 2.2 GPA. I will be setting myself up. As talented as he may be, that's not something that I could put in our culture, right? I got to know what I'm looking for. So I want to commend myself a little bit in terms of having those 18 guys carry over into the next semester, because I clearly picked out some of the right guys, right, to be a part of our family, be a part of our program. But it's all commending to them, man. Just providing the space. Like, hey, this is our schedule, but we're not a Division I basketball team. I know how much academics mean to you, and this is our time allotted slot. But when you're not doing this, man, you got to be in the classroom. You got to be on your grades. You got to communicate to your professors. You got to take care of day-to-day things. And I just wrapping everything up in the sense of like where I'm from and being a player coach, being that I was in those shoes, I know how difficult the school stuff could be, but only when you don't prioritize it, right? Like if I don't prioritize my grades, and I'm going to struggle, and if I'm not doing good on the school, I'm not going to be doing good on the court. I'm not going to have an opportunity to do good on the court. So it was a problem when I first got here, when I was an assistant coach, right? We had a bad carryover just from the semester, and then we lost a bunch of players when I got the head coaching job. And it was just something as my first year here last year, we lost about 5 players at this point in the season, maybe 7 players, but 2 or 3 of them had nothing to do with grades. The other 4 were just grades. I take responsibility for that. I'm not in the classroom with my guys, but you failing or not passing a class is a reflection on me. You still got to do your work, you still got to do those things. But I think, again, the results are showing from this semester. I think we are in the right, space and going into the right, progression right now, projection. But it's no dictator, it's no iron fist, man. It's just like, it's what you signed up for. I just relay that message every day, guys. Like, you're here, you signed up to play basketball, but you can't forget about the other part. So take care of the other part. And if there's anything you need from me to help you with that other part, I'm here for you. I'll email a professor. I'll print something out for you on campus. I'll help you to the most I could. But you got to put your time in and focus on academics.
So what traits matter most when you're looking to recruit a player?
Great question. Academics, right? I'm going to look at your grades. I'm going to see what type of person you are in the classroom. Next will be character, right? Like, who are you? After I just went to go watch a kid play last week, right before Christmas. And just as he came off the court, just talking to him, his parents are at the game, right? Hearing what your parents have to say about you, what your coach got to say about you, shaking your hand, looking you in the eye as a young adult, young man, to man. And really what I really like to gauge is, like, I like young athletes that have a goal, right? And it's okay. Like, I talk to players all the time. Hey, I'm undecided in college. That's okay. But like, what do you ultimately want to do in life? So I think those are things that I look for. After that, it becomes the intangibles of basketball, right? But character, communication, type of person you are, all those things matter first.
That's great. So how important is character versus talent?
It's more important than talent. Character is more important than talent. And the reason why is because as I'm getting more experience in this as a coach, I made mistakes, right? I make mistakes every day. And I've done the mistake of putting talent before character, right? And it ruined my locker room. That's just what it did. You know what I mean? As talented as that player may have been, if you have a character that you can't communicate to your teammates the right way, you can't communicate to me, your coaches the right way, your professors the right way, your character when no one's looking, right? Who you are, those things are going to show before anything, right? And if I can't connect to you, if your players can't connect to you, your character, who you are, is going to overwhelm in a negative way as good as you are talented-wise on the court.
First of all, I have to say congratulations. Seriously, congratulations on 18 out of 18 passing. I mean, and especially that the track record is that's never happened before.
Right.
You've proven yourself to be not a coach, but a mentor. And you've proven yourself to, lead not just to wins, but to win at life which is what I am looking to do. So I see myself as a mini version of you going forward. And you must, I mean, the college must know, Penn State Lehigh Valley must know that you are a college university treasure, because to be able to do that and lead, it's much more important. For me, when it gets to coaching, I first care about building confidence, because they're younger, right?
Yeah.
Building confidence, making them think for themselves, take responsibility. Like, these are the most important things. And, university is honestly a good and bad place. It's difficult. You got a lot of parties, you got a lot of temptation, but overall, university helped build me. You know what I mean? How about you? What was your university life like?
Like my college experience?
Yeah, your college experience.
Man, this is fun. My college experience it was very boring. I'm gonna be honest, but that's who I am. I'm very reserved. I am very bland, I guess you would call it. I guess some people even call it old school. I'm not a party person. Could care less to be around a lot of people a lot of times. So my college experience started in DuBois, and I went to the only coach that came to watch me play. It was a very easy decision for me. I went to school up in East Stroudsburg North in the Poconos. I had one coach who came to watch me play off the strength of one of my alumni players in high school. I could shoot the ball very well. So that player was a senior at Penn State DuBois. Shout out to Woody Mitchell. And he talked to his coach who was looking for some players. Like, hey, I got Mills is down at East Stroudsburg. He can shoot the ball very well. And that coach came and traveled 3.5 hours to come watch me play. Shout out to Coach Bennett. And when I talked to him after the game, he was like, Coach, he was like, Mills, I want you to come play for me. It was easy. You're the only coach that came and watched me play. I know I want to play at the next level. I didn't know what I want to go to school for. I'll figure all that out later. I know how much basketball meant to me at that time. You're providing me an opportunity to go play at the next level. I'm sold. I don't care how far I got to drop. There was really nothing to think about, right? The Penn State degree on top of that was just like the diamonds in the rough, like, you know what I mean? It was just extra. But I knew by the way my senior year went in high school, I wanted to play basketball at the next level. So I get out to DuBois and man, boring, right? Small city on your way to Pittsburgh in the middle of nowhere. Hour and a half away from Pittsburgh, an hour from Indiana University of Pennsylvania, a big Division I school, I believe they are now. I had some friends that go there, and it was an hour and like 15 minutes from main campus of State College. So I had some options if I wanted to get away, for the weekend, which I learned as my sophomore, junior, senior. But as a freshman, man, I went there bored. And on top of being bored, I didn't play much. So this coach came and recruited me as a freshman. I went in there with a big head thinking, I could shoot the ball. I could shoot the ball better than some of my teammates that were older, but I wasn't as experienced. I didn't play defense as good as those guys. So I would get in the game, hit a three, hit some threes and go sit back down. And at the end of my year, my coach sat me down and had a real honest conversation about me playing defense and not being a best defender, which is why I didn't play much. And throughout that year, I skipped over that part. I would call my mom. Back home, 3.5 hours away. I was at school, no car. I left my car for my little brother. So I would call my mom crying, like, yo, Ma, I want to go home. Like, I don't want to stay here. I'm not playing. I'm 3.5 hours away from y'all. I want to come home. And my mom was like, wait it out. Stick through the storm. Weather the storm. And it was just the best advice I could get. March comes, I sit down with my coach. He tells me, Mills, you got to be better at the defensive end. You want to come back and play, you got to do X, Y, and Z. Went home that summer. My whole attitude was I could prove my coach wrong in two ways. I could leave and prove him wrong. I could come back and prove him wrong. And I'm so thankful that I went back to DuBois and I proved him wrong. So I went back to DuBois and I started every game from my sophomore year to my senior year. I started and I played big minutes. Defense was a big part of that. Trusting that coach was a big part of that because I trusted him that year and then he ended up leaving after that. So then I had a new coach who was under him my last 2 years. But going into my junior year and the senior year, fast forward to my college career, man, it was awesome. You know what I mean? I'm glad I went back. Small town, so I would just lock myself in the gym and just shoot and just get better. I got so cool with the janitor. Gym was closed, campus is closed. I'm in the gym. Can't find me on the weekends, I'm in the gym. And that's how I got better. That was the reason why I played more. It was nothing to do with anybody else. I put the work in the summer. I put the work in, and I just proved my coach wrong. So that was my college experience. When I talk to my guys now that don't play much, I've been there. I've been on a program, last guy on the bench, not playing at all. My coach telling me what I got to do to be better, and I could have believed him, or I could, choose to ignore it and just think I'm that guy still and let it play out. So that was my college experience in a nutshell. Kind of, you tried to sum through that a little bit fast, but
No, that's amazing because you had to overcome adversity.
yeah,
And most players have to. And many end up quitting.
absolutely.
Yes. Just basketball related, what are some things a player needs to truly master before they can move to college?
Man, the biggest thing, if you were a high school kid coming on a college court, man, if you could just talk. Like, I know that sounds so crazy, but like if you could just talk and like let your teammates know where you are all the time and know your teammates' names, know your coaches' names, that's a big thing. That's just a big thing. I think it's just something that's just lacking all over, man, just all over. But certainly at the college level, like I think that you just understanding that me talking, letting my teammates know where I am and what's going on offensively and defensively, it don't hurt nothing. It only helps, right? It only puts the confidence in me as a person. But the problem with that is that freshmen a lot of the time struggle with that because the communication is so much different than what they're used to in high school, right? Maybe your college coach didn't have you talking as much, or maybe just the terminology and gap, ball, help is completely different than what you're used to at high school. So it's a big learning curve, right? Between that, the physicality and speed of the game is things that nobody could really get you ready for until you experience it. How fast that clock go, that shot clock is going,
Wow.
right? And then just the physicality. You a high school guy coming in to play freshman basketball at whatever college you're going to, you're probably not as strong as those guys. You're probably not experienced. And then don't even get me started with the NIL, things that are going on that has a big trickle effect because now you 18-year-old freshman playing against 25-year-olds. Very realistic now. That's not far-fetched. That's not even an exaggeration. We got a game coming up. I don't want to go too off tangent, but we got a game coming up. And my guys are going to be going against grad students, right? Guys are in their 5th year, 6 years of playing college basketball. When I'm working with some true freshmen here. No excuses, but that's just the level of the college, landscape that we're in right now. So it makes it a little bit tough, but positive challenge, I would say. You know what I mean? For sure.
Let's go to some fun questions. So the first fun question is going to be defense or offense? Which one's more important?
Defense, 100%. I think, especially now, man, a lot of guys can put the ball in the basket, but to cherish playing defense and wanting to get stops, you got to be different, is what I would tell my guys. You got to be different to want to get stop after stop after stop. So,
what about your top 5 NBA all time?
That question is super tough, because I love the game of basketball, man, and I wouldn't even call myself a basketball historian. I'm going to answer the question straightforward. Of all time, my favorite, right? This is personable. I'm not going into stats and none of that. Who I like, a lot of this is based on paving the way for me. I'm going to have to go with LeBron first because I would say LeBron coming in, in that year, 2002, 2003, at that time in my life where I was at, I wasn't even focused on basketball, but watching a high schooler come into the league and do that, at that time, I am 9 years old. I vividly remember watching Braun going, getting drafted and doing things, on the court, making an impact. And that's when I started picking up a ball and going outside with my brother. Braun is up there for me for sure. Of course, MJ is up there, as a GOAT in terms of the road that he paved, numbers wise, championship wise. Another player that I gotta lean toward for sure. This is. I'm going to go with AI for sure. And that was just more so because of the differences that he made, right, amongst the league. Like, he was really able to be himself unapologetically, and it didn't always work out for him in the moment, but I feel like it allowed other players to be themselves after him. And whether it went good for you or not, he paved the way and really changed the landscape of basketball in general. I might just have to say Shaq off the dominance alone, like just watching somebody dominate over and over again, right, and just pretty much be unstoppable. Of course, we all wish he could shoot better free throws and how much better his career could have been if he was, better in certain areas. But at that time, his dominance was just over everything, And then I'm gonna go with a newer player right now because
You have to pick a shooter.
I gotta pick a shooter.
Yo, I was about to
All right,
Because you shoot.
Because I shoot. Yeah, that's a good one. And when I leaned on that, I mean, like looking up, like it's I looked up to a bunch of guys like Ray Allen, of course. Like he's probably key to me. But like even guys that you wouldn't really even think about too much, like an Andre Karolinko could really shoot the ball. I'm just going, like, I have so many players in my head right now. When you just said shoot up, like Steph Curry's, Klay Thompson's, you know what I mean? Like guys that just shoot it. And of course, Klay and Steph, like those guys just changed the game in such a way that everybody just wants to shoot the 3 ball now at a level, you know? Yeah, that fifth person could be any shooter, but I'm gonna go with Ray Allen. I'm gonna go with Ray Allen because he's somebody that I truly watch and was always a shooter. If you go back to old Ray Allen film, man, he's dunking, he's doing a lot of other things. He was an overall player. It was later in his career where he really just started really focusing on that 3 ball and shooting the ball at a high clip. So
yeah, that's a good choice. So what is your long-term vision for the program?
For the men's basketball program at Penn State Lehigh Valley,
Yeah.
I want to see these guys be in the community and be successful men. Like, and I tell them that all the time. Like, my vision, to me, that's a real broad question, which is no problem with that. But like my vision, I tell these guys all the time, like being productive citizens in the community. And that doesn't have to be our Lehigh Valley community, right? Like these guys are getting internships in other places, in other states, right? That's what the doors that Penn State opens up for you, period, right? But like the vision would be success off the court, right? It sounds very crazy, but the wins and losses are going to come however they come, right? Like right now, we're sitting at 3-8, but having a 3.14 GPA and having 18 guys come back and be successful for the next semester, like that's a big win for me. I don't even look at the 3-8 no more. You know what I mean? Like we're winning somewhere. Back to Kia's point that he made also, like, you know, wins are happening and they're not showing up in the win-loss column, which is cool. Yeah, I look at that column. I'm not there. I'm the head coach of this. I know the work that we put in and day out, and I see the change being made amongst my young men.
And it will happen. That's the other thing. When it gets to the basketball court, it will happen. It's just going to take some time. You're still adjusting. 100%. Your players are all freshmen. Like 11, you got to realize
11 of 18 freshmen. Yeah,
and most importantly, if you do good in school, I truly believe you're going to do good on the court regardless, because that means you're put it in the work and you're not fooling around.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Coach Mills, for being on this podcast. We're going to have you again. Any last words for the audience?
No, man, I just want to thank you guys for your time. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for what you're doing in the community with the American Christian League. You know, I just think it's all good stuff. I think you guys are all planting a lot of seeds right now that you may not even be realizing what you're doing. And that's what I try to do on a day-to-day basis, you know, but you guys are doing great stuff. So I just want to commend y'all first. I just want to shout out, you know, I want to shout out to my wife, you know, just being my rock always. Shout out my kids, just keeping me young. Of course, I got a 2 and a 3-year-old at home. I want to shout out my assistant coach who I already shout out, just helping me with the vision of what I do, what we do on a day-to-day basis. Shout out my basketball team. Shout out everybody at Penn State Lehigh Valley that just pours into me and gives me more roles and responsibilities as they see me getting things done. Shout outs to everybody in the community, man, just the Valley. I just think we are doing a great job of being mentors. I could shout out so many different people of just the importance that we are. I'm hearing a lot more talks about mental health of, you know, I could shout out just, you know, Breed a Life coach. I could shout out a bunch of people, man, that are just trying to do things the right way. And we may not be seeing it, right? You may not see it on a day-to-day, if you stop and you talk to these young men and young women, we are doing the right things. We are making the right changes. And I know that because that's the relationship that I have with a lot of them, right? A lot of these young men and women, because of the conversations that I'm able to have with them, it is very straightforward, very direct. Coach, I appreciate you. Thank you for helping me out. You ain't have to do that. And that's all I do it for. You know, that's not even but you know what I mean? That's not what I do it for, but that's all I need to hear, that a change was made, that you looked at something differently, that whatever I did, whether it's driving you home or helping you, whatever, sending you an email, it made a difference in you. You showed that I said I was going to do something and I came through for it. So I just want to shout out everybody, man, everybody in the Valley, all the youth that are taking their sports seriously, on and off the court, academics seriously, all our college students doing the right things, man. I just think positivity just needs to be continuously spread, man. And we just need to focus on that more than anything else. like a lot of people are doing the right things. They're planting a lot of seeds, and just thank you all for that. Appreciate you guys.
Amen.
Thank you, Coach.
Amen. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.